Ukrainian armed forces destroy Russian headquarters in Melitopol and 2 command posts. Over the course of the past 24 hours, the armed forces of Ukraine have repelled Russian attacks in the vicinity of 7 cities, towns, and villages in Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast, and have struck critical Russian military targets, destroying a headquarters and 2 command posts. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook. Information is of 6:0 and 17 November. Over the course of the past 24 hours, Ukraine's defense forces have repelled Russian attacks in the vicinity of Stelmakivka and Bilohorivka, Luhansk Oblast, and Verkhniki-Minsk, Solder, Nevelsk, Marinka, and Pervomaysk, Donetsk Oblast. Russian forces have continued to fire on the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces and on civilian settlements in the vicinity of the line of contact. They have carried out 4 airstrikes and 6 missile strikes, as well as more than 40 attacks using multiple launch rocket systems. Russian missiles have also targeted civilian infrastructure in the city of Zaporizhia. There were no changes on the Volyn and Polotsk fronts. There's an ongoing threat of missile and airstrikes on Ukraine from the territory of Belarus. Russian forces continue to fire on military and civilian targets. On the Slobozhenщina front, Russian forces deployed mortars and tubed artillery to fire on areas in and around Staritsia and Ambarn-Kharkiv Oblast. On the Kupiansk and Lyman fronts, Russian forces deployed tank guns and various types of artillery to fire on areas in and around Kupiansk, Kislivka, Krokhmalny, Berestov, Novoslivsk, Stelmakivka, Makiivka, and Ploshchanka. On the Bakhmut front, the Russians deployed tank guns and all types of artillery at their disposal to fire on areas in and around Serebrinka, Spern, Rozdolivka, Yakovlivka, Solder, Bakhmut, Alpany, Zelenopilia, Andriivka, Kurdyamivka, and Ozarynivka. On the Avdiivka front, the Russians deployed tank guns, mortars, and tubed and rocket artillery to fire on areas in the vicinity of New York, Krasnohorivka, Kamienka, Avdiivka, Pervomaysk, Nevelsk, and Marinka. On the Novopavlovka front, the Russians fired on areas in and around Vuhledar, Boivlenka, Brichistovka, and Viramivka using various types of artillery. On the Zaporizhia front, Russian forces fired on areas in and around Yuliapolsk, Novondrivka, and Sh Sherbaki using tanks and artillery of various calibers. On the Kherson front, Zelenivka, Chornobivka, and Kherson came under Russian fire. Nikopol and Chervonohorivka Dnipropetrovsk Oblast also came under Russian fire. Russian forces are continuing to suffer losses in Ukraine. The General Staff has confirmed that on 15 November the Ukrainian armed forces destroyed the headquarters of a Russian unit in Melitopol, Zaporizhia Oblast. Ukraine's defense forces also destroyed 2 Russian ammunition storage points, 2 BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket systems, and an S-300 missile system in the vicinity of Kinsky Rozdori, Vladivka, and Blavichinka, Zaporizhia Oblast. Around 100 Russian military personnel were killed or sustained injuries. Russian forces have intensified filtration measures in the Kakhovka district following a successful attack of Ukraine's defense forces on the positions of Russian troops. The Russians are planting mines around infrastructure facilities in the city of Kakhovka and systematically destroying cell towers. According to the information obtained by the General Staff, in the city of Enerhodar, Zaporizhia Oblast, all textbooks on Ukrainian history have been confiscated and will be destroyed. At the request of the self-proclaimed authorities on the temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk Oblast, the cities of Horlivka and Mariupol have been issued honorary titles by decrees of the President of the Russian Federation. Over the past 24 hours, Ukrainian aircraft carried out airstrikes on 2 Russian anti-aircraft missile systems. Meanwhile, Ukraine's rocket forces and artillery struck 2 Russian command posts, 6 clusters of Russian military personnel, weapons and equipment, 3 ammunition storage points, and 3 other critical military targets.